Composting is one of the most effective and rewarding ways to manage food and yard waste while enriching your garden soil. Creating your own composting system at home is easier than you might think, and it doesn't necessarily require a large space or expensive equipment. Whether you live in an apartment or have a sprawling backyard, you can set up a composting system tailored to your needs. Today, let's explore the steps, methods, and tips you'll need to create your very own composting system from scratch. First, it's important to understand what composting actually is. Composting is the natural process of recycling organic matter, such as leaves, vegetable scraps, and grass clippings, into a valuable fertilizer that can enrich soil and plants. Microorganisms, worms, and insects break down the organic materials, transforming them into a dark, crumbly substance known as humus. This nutrient-rich material improves soil health, helps retain moisture, and reduces the need for chemical fertilizers. To start your own composting system, you'll need to select a location. If you have a yard, find an area that's convenient but not too close to your home, as the process can sometimes attract insects or create odors if not managed correctly. The spot should have good drainage and ideally some shade to prevent the compost from drying out too quickly. If you live in an apartment or don't have outdoor space, don't worry. Indoor composting is possible with the right equipment. Next, decide on the type of composting system that best fits your lifestyle. There are several options. Traditional compost bins are simple containers that hold your compost pile together, keeping it neat and manageable. You can buy a pre-made compost bin or construct one yourself using wood pallets, wire mesh, or even old plastic storage containers. Compost tumblers are enclosed barrels that can be rotated. This design makes turning the compost easy, which speeds up the decomposition process. Tumblers are especially suitable for smaller spaces and help contain odors and pests. For indoor composting, consider a worm bin, also called vermicomposting. Worm bins use red wiggler worms to break down food scraps quickly and efficiently. These bins can be kept under sinks or in closets and are virtually odorless when managed properly. If you have ample yard space, you might opt for a simple compost heap. Just pile your compost materials in a corner of your yard and turn the pile occasionally to aerate it. Once you've chosen your composting method and set up your bin or pile, it's time to start adding materials. The key to successful composting lies in balancing two types of materials: greens and browns. Greens provide nitrogen and include items like fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, tea bags, fresh grass clippings, and plant trimmings. Browns supply carbon and consist of dry leaves, straw, cardboard, shredded newspaper, and small branches. Aim for a ratio of about 2 to 3 parts browns for every 1 part greens. Too much green material can make your compost smelly and attract pests, while too much brown material can slow down decomposition. Layering these materials as you add them to your pile or bin helps maintain the right balance and encourages airflow. Moisture is another crucial factor in composting. Your compost should be as damp as a wrung-out sponge, moist but not soggy. If your compost is too dry, decomposition will slow down. Add a bit of water if necessary, or incorporate more green materials. If the pile is too wet, add extra browns and turn the pile frequently to increase aeration. Turning or mixing your compost regularly is essential for aeration and even decomposition. In a traditional pile or bin, use a pitchfork or shovel to turn the materials every couple of weeks. If you're using a tumbler, simply rotate it as recommended. Regular turning introduces oxygen, which helps microorganisms break down the materials and prevents unpleasant odors. As you build your compost pile, there are some items you should avoid adding. Don't compost meat, dairy, oily foods, or pet waste, as these can attract pests and create strong odors. Also, avoid composting diseased plants or weeds that have gone to seed, since these could spread problems in your garden. Stick to fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, eggshells, yard trimmings, and paper products like shredded newspaper or cardboard. Over time, you'll notice your pile transforming. The temperature in the center of the pile will rise as microbes go to work. This is a good sign that decomposition is happening. Eventually, the materials will break down into a dark, crumbly, earthy-smelling substance. Depending on the method, climate, and how often you turn the pile, the process can take anywhere from 2 months to a year. If you're composting indoors with a worm bin, the process works a little differently. Red wiggler worms eat your food scraps and produce castings, a rich form of compost. Feed your worms small amounts of food at a time, making sure not to overload the bin. Keep the bedding, usually shredded newspaper or coconut coir, moist but not soggy. In a few months, you'll have a supply of worm castings to use in your houseplants or garden. When your compost is ready, it will look like rich, dark soil and have an earthy smell. Sift out any large, undecomposed pieces and return them to the bin or pile to continue breaking down. The finished compost can be mixed into garden beds, spread on lawns, or used as potting soil. It's an excellent way to boost your plant's health and improve the structure of your soil. Composting doesn't just benefit your garden, it also helps the environment. By composting, you divert waste from landfills, where it would otherwise produce methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Composting also reduces the need for chemical fertilizers, which can pollute waterways and harm beneficial soil life. To make your composting system even more efficient, consider keeping a small covered container in your kitchen to collect food scraps. Empty it into your outdoor bin or worm bin every day or two. If you have a yard, you might even encourage your neighbors to contribute their food scraps, helping build community and reducing waste for everyone. Remember, composting is a natural process. Don't be discouraged if things don't go perfectly at first. If your pile isn't heating up, try adding more greens. If it smells bad, add more browns and turn it more often. With a bit of patience and attention, you'll soon have a thriving composting system that turns waste into a valuable resource. So, why not start today? Gather your materials, choose your method, and take the first step toward creating your own composting system. Not only will you reduce your environmental footprint, but you'll also create a healthier, more vibrant garden, one handful of compost at a time.